the mindset you need for success. Now, as a coach, consultant, or small business owner, you definitely need to have a strong enough mindset that will help you with all the ups and downs, or what I like to call the entrepreneurial emotional roller coaster that we all go through. I mean, picture this: growing your business, and we all understand this. It's not easy. It's a tough gig. All right, we are sitting 90 days or more. I mean, 90 hours or more every single week, just hoping that we scrap a sale or make a bit of money. And we're sitting there maybe cold calling potential clients, and we're having a lot of them maybe hanging up in our face. How annoying is that? And how demoralizing is it that you've got the right information, you've got the right consultation, you've got the right solutions for people, but they still hang up in your face? Or maybe you decide to send cold emails and you don't even get anyone responding back to you saying, "Thank you so much for reaching out." And maybe you are sitting there and you're wasting thousands of dollars on ad spend on Google without getting any qualified leads. I got a question for you. Does Google actually send you a paycheck at the end of each month to say thank you so much for all the content that you're putting on our platform for free that is helping people, keeping them engaged, so that us, Google and Facebook, can make money off of your efforts? Do you get that paycheck? Because sometimes it can feel like maybe nobody wants to buy what you're selling. And, if you're relying on your business to pay rent and put food on the table, I can understand. I've been there. It puts an enormous strain on your emotions. And you're sometimes terrified that maybe I just have to give up on my dreams. Maybe I'm just cut out to return to a safe 9 to 5, obviously with the tail tucked between your legs, if you can't bring in any clients. I've been talking about gurus. I've been talking about how we are so bombarded with information and all the knowledge that we might need, which is at the tip of our fingertips, and if you want something done cheaper, better, faster, you can just outsource it. So last night I hosted a great call that lasted over 2 hours with some of my clients and some of my potential clients. And if you haven't gotten around to creating a summit or a virtual meeting with people based on your ebook, I advise that you go and listen to an episode that we talk about that. And I did one of those yesterday. All right. As usual, just like my podcast, it was full of great content, and there was a lot of strategies that anyone who was on the call would definitely use to grow a business that's profitable and enjoyable immediately. And I was talking to consultants mainly. So, these are people that are already established in their business. They already understand, and they've already identified their target market. They've already clarified their message. What they now need is, strategies and, once in a while, just somebody to confirm that they're on the right path. And virtually anyone that was on the call could have taken the information and they would have that was shared on that Zoom call and actually started profiting in their own local market. Like the way we're profiting in our digital marketing agency. I did not hold anything back. But here's a problem that I actually noticed. Because having more content and strategies and all that information is not what will make us successful. I noticed that half of the people that were sitting in that call are people that already know me, that already are working with me, but they just came to sit down and maybe hope they will get more content and new information. And if you really notice what marketing really is, it's just the same stuff that is done consistently in such a way that people get to know, like, and trust you. And the more you show up and you create for and relate to your audience, the more people want to do business with you, because people do business with those they know, like, and trust. So here's the problem with having a lot of content and a lot of strategies. Most people already have more information than they really need to make, that they really need to make any real money, on the internet. Some people already know a whole lot more than all the other gurus combined. You know why? Because they're attending every course, they're buying every book, they're attending every webinar, and all the things that help them in their own mind, gather and get more information. They are on the hot email list. They know all the launch sequences. They've got all the promotional videos. They know the scripts of those videos, and they've got all the promotional audios, and they have scripts of those audios, aside from all the products that they've already purchased that are gathering digital dust in their hard drives, all in the pursuit of creating a business that's profitable and enjoyable. Now, let me tell you something. We have already been exposed to more things than any common local business knows exists, but we still want more. These are the clients that we're going out to. All right. So if your client is just looking for a health solution and they are maybe a busy working mother or a professional woman, they don't know any more than you already know about the stuff that you're trying to sell to them. They don't know any more about the training, the information, and the expertise that you have. But there we are, still sitting in other people's webinars. We're still sitting in other people's summits, trying to see and what they're doing, or hoping we'll find that magic pill when we already know the information that we need in order for us to move forward. We are already sitting in this. We already have all these email sequences. We already have all of these, launch sequences. We already have all the scripts of what to say, how to say it, when. But what we are not doing is looking inside to find out, do we have the right mindset to actually succeed? Now, I'm here to say the problem is not knowing what to do. The problem is not having all the information. The problem is not putting all your ducks in a row. They don't even want to be in a row anyway. I think the problem is getting the right mindset for you to go out there and share all of this information that you've received with your clients, with your prospects, and those that are going to be, buying from you in the future. I've just come to realize that it's a mindset issue. It's not the strategies, it's not the tactics that create the biggest gap between those who win and those who wish. It's just the mindset. Who are you in the grand scheme of things? And are you, confident in your own delivery that you have the right information that people are looking for right now? Let me tell you something. Your imposter syndrome is what is actually stopping you from creating a business that's profitable and enjoyable. I can hardly string a complete English sentence, but here I am on my podcast every single day delivering information. You know why? Because I'm confident in what I've got to say, and I don't care if you don't think my English is not proper or you can't understand my accent, but you know the value that I'm giving you is going to help you and have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. Let me tell you something. I understand as an entrepreneur, your marketing is the least, it's just one aspect of running a successful business. Obviously, you're going from hiring and managing staff, you're balancing the books, you're driving growth, and a lot more. And it all feels like it's a constant balancing act where you're pulled in multiple different directions all at once. At the end of the day, I understand your real goal is just to help your clients. You want to spend as much time as possible maybe changing people's lives and solving people's problems. And nobody, even if you're listening to this podcast right now, nobody wants to waste countless hours each week trying to navigate the whole complex world of online marketing. But we seem to get bogged into what's the latest TikTok phrase, what's the latest thing that the kids are doing on TikTok, or what's the latest thing that people are doing on Twitter, or is it Elon Musk who's just bought Twitter? Maybe things are going to change. It's not the platform. It's how you approach the platform. And better yet, what is it that you're bringing to the table? And you know what? You already have this information. You already have this confident. I mean, you should be confident because you know a whole lot more than anyone else out there. Why do you still, engage other gurus? Why do you still need going to other coaches or trying to copy what other people are doing? like I said, I've come to realize it's a mindset issue. It's not lack of strategies or it's not lack of tactics. If you want something done, guess what? Somebody on Fiverr can do it cheaper, better, faster for $5. So it's not about the strategies or the implementation that create the biggest gap between those who win and those who wish. The moment I finally accepted that I've got the goods and I already had what it takes to bring results to the businesses that I work with and people that are desperate for help, everything changed for me. I used to just go around. If you have an opportunity to see my office one day, you will notice I've got a lot of books. I always told myself, wow, if I haven't read at least 3 or 4 books from this bookshelf, that means I'm not quite well versed with what I need to do. That's way far from the truth. When I realized that I already have what it takes, I already know a lot more than a lot of people do out there, my world changed. Because for me, the world began looking differently. Confidence is something that I then started building rather than I just achieved it one day. So every single time I went out there and I spoke to a client and they gave me feedback, that boosted my confidence. Every time that I sat down on a growth conversation or a growth call, it boosted my confidence. Now I charge for sitting down with a growth conversation. You know why? Because so many people want to talk to me, and you know what? I don't have that much time to be speaking to just about everybody else if I don't know whether or not they're gonna either implement what we tell them or they're gonna go ahead and work with us. So figure it out. What is actually stopping you right now? What is it that is stopping? Is it knowledge? You can Google it. Is it implementation of whatever strategies? You can hire that on on Fiverr. And if is it what is it? The last thing that needs to be brought to the table is your mindset. And if you keep listening to this podcast, I'll be talking to you about 2 different sets of mindsets that actually make the world of difference in what people are experiencing in their lives right now. So I'm asking you that question again. What is actually holding you back? What is actually holding you back? The reason why I'm passionate about helping coaches, consultants, and small business owners is because I know what it feels like to come from nothing. You see, I was born in a small town in Zimbabwe in Africa. And you know what? Growing up for us, life was pretty tough. We didn't have a lot of money like what maybe you guys had growing up. And we used to play with sticks and stones. And we were happy with that. We didn't even have any hope to amount to anything because we didn't have any role models or people that we knew were doing stuff that we would emulate. But my life changed when a bright-eyed Australian teacher came, to work at my school, and she showed me me everything to do with Australia and how incredible opportunities were outside of my own little space. For all that I knew was thrown out of the window. You know why? Because now I had a wider horizon of things that were actually happening in the world, and there was a teacher who had come in from halfway across the world to show us how to do and have a happier existence. She taught me that there's a whole nother world outside of our little small town there, and a world full of infinite possibilities for people who dream big and had the courage to follow their dreams. And for the rest of my time in school, I just worked my butt off to learn as much as I could. And a few years later, I ended up in Australia. So right now, if somebody coming in from Africa is now, creating for and relating to their audience and is making a killing out of it, what would stop you from actually, taking your God-given birthright to create for and relate to the audience that you're reaching out to? Are you just afraid of your own potential? What is actually holding you back from being a success that you're meant to be right now? Are you ready and willing to change your life, just simply challenging your greatest fears or whatever uncertainties that you might have? Because you don't have to ignore them. Simply challenge them and take one single step every single day to remove the deadly grip of those fears and whatever anxieties that you might have. You are already complete. You have all you need. Stop going in and engaging with all those other gurus, hoping that they'll give you, whatever new shiny object or whatever, flicker the switch thing that you're hoping to look for. Because you'll finally break through and get the results you've been longing for if you actually put your mind into it. And talking of mind, I want you, right now, think for a moment about maybe the thoughts that play in your head as you move through maybe your day-to-day life. Because some of us are brought up in such a way that we're always made to feel inadequate. Can you imagine, like for me, I never had anyone that I could look up to. So obviously what I saw around me, constituted what life looked like. So I want you to think about it for a moment. What thoughts play in your head as you move throughout your day? There's always things like, maybe I'm not a numbers person, so I'm not good at accounting. Or maybe I'm not good with technology, so I'm not going to bother in trying to connect my calendar to my website so that people can book, strategy calls with me. Or maybe I don't cope too well with change, and so I'm not going to try and move on to maybe, another form of delivering value to my clients. Let me tell you something. These are thoughts that are subconsciously stuck on replay in some of our minds every single day. And whose voices are we listening to? And they never seem to go away or quieten down, do they? And they're gradually chipping away, from our own sense of self-belief, which then takes away the confidence for us to actually go out and execute and actually help people by actually helping them. Let me tell you something. In your mind, there's always stories, that are playing, and we start believing them as if they're truth, as if they're gospel. In your mind, you simply have maybe a realistic view of what you can and what you can't do, and what you are and what you are not good at. And the more you keep perpetrating that story inside of your head, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because obviously you would think to yourself, I'm just being honest with myself. I'm not good with numbers. Of course you're not. You need to learn how to be an accountant or do your best or things like that. I'm not good with technology. Of course you're not. When was the last time you went and did 3 years of learning how to create a website? Of course it is justified. But remember this. Who told you these things, that you're telling yourself, that you are now believing, that you are now standing by? Who told you these things? It's probably nobody but yourself. So how certain can you be that these are an actual fact true when it's just stories that you've told yourself? You know why? Because you've kept telling yourself those stories. Now it's become gospel. Now it's become reality. It's now a self-limiting belief. You know why? It now comes through as a self-fulfilling prophecy because you seek it out. Right now, if you look around your room, if you or wherever you are right now, can you please tell me how many yellow things you saw? Right? And if you then look specifically, all you start seeing is yellow. So if you've told yourself, I'm not a numbers person, I'm not a technology person, all you're going to see is the yellow of you not being a numbers person, of you not being a technology person, of you not being adequate. And guess what? The more you keep telling yourself, I can't, you are still going to tell yourself that you can't deliver on whatever promise that you are going to be delivering to your clients. And then eventually you don't have a business. You know why? Nobody knows you. Nobody trusts you. Nobody likes you. And guess what? You're just going to be like another has run. Because what we're actually talking about here is our own self-limiting beliefs. This is nothing to do with whatever guru or whatever email list that we're on or whatever strategy or whatever tactic. It's us. Our own understanding of who we are, which is flawed based on small things that we have concluded in our heads that we are not able to do. These days, if you can't do accounting, hire an accountant. You can get people so cheap for at $5 an hour or something cheaper than that. Why are you holding on to stuff that you can't fulfill on your own? Why invent mediocrity when you can copy genius? Let me tell you something. You can't climb the ladder of success with your hands full. So if you're going to be doing the accounting, if you're going to be balancing the books, you're going to be hiring people, you're going to be doing the sales calls, you're going to be doing all the online marketing, what time do you actually leave for self-reflection and for service delivery? And that's the reason why a lot of people don't succeed. You know why? Because they just tell themselves they can't do certain things, and it just becomes, their understanding of who they are as themselves. Because these beliefs that we have about ourselves, to a lesser or greater extent, in certain situations or in certain environments, can help us, or can actually be our own inhibitor. They are self-limiting, because if we let them control and dominate our thoughts, the ones that we have about ourselves and our abilities, they can be hugely damaging in both our current and future success. Because seriously, if you can tell yourself, I'm not good with technology, do you think you're going to even try and open the back end of your website to change a spelling mistake? If you tell yourself that I'm not good with accounting, do you think you're going to even attempt to fix an invoice? The way you think has a huge impact on your propensity to learn, your propensity to be successful, and your propensity to create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. I mean, you're probably listening to this and you're thinking, you always feel 100% confident and you embrace every single challenge with all the vigor and tenacity that you have, and you're learning at each step of the way, and then I hate to be the bearer of bad bad news. You're probably lying to yourself. In reality, we are all constantly shifting from a spectrum of maybe two different mindsets of ways of thinking. You've got a fixed mindset and you've got a growth mindset. Now, if you've got a growth mindset, that means you are open to learning new things. That means you're open to understanding and having other people help you with things that you're not capable of. But if you've got a fixed mindset, you always want to be the one person who does it right. I've seen or heard a lot of people saying, if you want something done right, then you go out and do it yourself. Let me ask you, Mr. Do It Yourself, if you've got a root canal, do you do it yourself? If you want to have eye surgery or laser surgery, do you do it yourself? If you want to have a heart surgery, do you do it yourself? If you want to do even the plumbing in your household, do you do it yourself? If you want to wire up electricity in your house, do you do it yourself? So now, can you imagine you're just being egoistical and being overzealous on things that you can't complete? You can't do everything yourself. And that's why I said earlier on, you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands full. So a fixed mindset and a growth mindset obviously is one thing that will actually make the difference for those that are successful and those that are just have been in this industry. Because these two powerful mindsets will ultimately impact the degree to which you actually feel the desire to push yourself, first of all, to go in and actually conduct our business, or to sit back and say, oh, I'm not good at doing this. So to help you understand a bit more about this growth mindset and maybe fixed mindset, let me just try and explain this a little bit so that you understand. And then you choose between the two, because you're going to have to decide today which one you have. Is it a fixed mindset or you got a growth mindset? All right, let's start off with the negative one, the fixed mindset. All right, so if you've got a fixed mindset, you believe that, whoever you are right now is whoever you're always going to be. Because you believe that we're each born with maybe a certain skill, a certain talent. And in other words, if you don't have those skills right now or at a certain age, then you're never going to achieve them at any given moment. How many times have you told yourself, if I get to the age of 40 and I haven't made $1 million, so that means I'm not successful in business? Who told you that? There's people like Colonel Sanders who started their business at 70 and still made a worldwide phenomenon. Just think back at the stories of all those self-limiting beliefs that I was mentioning earlier on. Maybe you always think of yourself that you can't, or you can't grow, or you can't do this, or you can't manifest certain things. You're just not born in the right blood, or you're just not in the right place, or whatever Hogwarts you tell yourself. Or that you're not natural at this, or I need to keep getting better at this. Those with a fixed mindset tend to actually avoid challenges and give up easily when they come across maybe whatever obstacle, and they ignore any constructive feedback that might come because they're threatened by the sight of them having to change or having to learn that they were wrong all along. Now, this mindset negatively impacts your propensity to learn, your propensity to connect with other people, and your propensity to develop yourself. Because I think this is driven by a belief that we must somehow always be perceived as maybe smart in order for us to be successful. We have to project a certain persona. As such, you can't be seen to have failed or not know all the answers, and meaning that we're far less likely to maybe push ourselves into zones that are not comfortable for us. We just want to live in our own comfortable zones. You know why? Because they know us in here. Just so that we have this sense of control that we are okay, we're doing it right. That's a fixed mindset. But in contrast, we have what's called the growth mindset. This is when you start believing that skills are built. This is when you start believing that you can get new abilities no matter what time, no matter what the timeline is. And it's all developed by trial and error and whatever effort you're putting in and collaboration with other people. Because if you've got a growth mindset, you firmly believe that your own capacity to learn and grow is in abundance. And that your intelligence today is not going to be the same person you're going to be tomorrow. And people with a growth mindset, they seem to be able to face setbacks with an eye to want to learn something new, get feedback from that, and then they know what not to do later on in the future. And people with the growth mindset are actually inspirational to other people in front of them, because they're not shy to fail in public. They're not afraid to actually show that they also on a learning journey. And once you've got a growth mindset, you start seeing life as if it's an endless opportunity for you to figure things out by yourself, and you learn as you go. People with a growth mindset are those people that will jump and then hope the parachute will open up later. Instead of a fixed mindset, they actually want to know at what time does this parachute open, and if it doesn't open, what's the next best thing? So at the end of the day, where we are, it's actually very important for you to really cultivate, your mindset for growth, And for you to be successful in today's world of work, and maybe in the future moving forward, we must all get far better at learning new things, at facing challenges head on, and really accepting our own flaws and learning from them. And essentially, we must all shift our mindset to see the world and everything in it as a never-ending opportunity to learn. We're here to live, we're here to learn, we're here to contribute. We're here to live the best life possible. And we have to learn everything that we need to in order for that to happen. And then, what do? We then contribute that to others in order for them to also have a happier existence. So that's where our consulting, our training, our information, and our expertise comes into play. You know what I mean? Because now we know a little bit more than other people. So what we now need to do is help them make sense of the world around them. And once you're out there, you start creating diverse recurring revenue streams that will definitely skyrocket the profitability that you have and ensure that your business will survive through any market downturns, any global pandemics, and any sweeping lockdowns. But you got to have a growth mindset for you to be able to, do this. So for the sake of your own success and the success of your business, now is the time to shift your way of thinking and you want to block all these damaging thoughts that are circling in your mind, and those thoughts that have the potential to rob you of the opportunity to build new skills and actually connect and relate to an audience that is out there waiting for you to show them how to be, do, and have a happier existence. You know, it's time for you to go out and deliver a world-class experience, and just stop going around trying to learn everything when you already have information that will help you be, do, and have. I believe like I said, we're here to live, to learn, and to contribute. And if you're not doing any of the things that I've mentioned, and if you haven't created for yourself a mindset for growth, that's the one thing that's holding you back. I got a question for you. Are you ready and willing to start changing your life? Just simply changing your mindset into a growth mindset. I can't wait to see what you're going to create from here on. Bye for now.